Now, there was a time that I would try to that outdo people, but then I realized that wasn't getting me nowhere. I was just running in circles because when you competing with other people and trying to keep up with the Joneses, they're moving up a little. When they move up, you feel like you got to move up. But what if you're not ready for that level? So you'll move up prematurely and then you'll fall down. Well, what's up, family? It's your boy. It is your preacher. It is Jaheim President, the host of Legacy Builders Podcast. And family, welcome back to Legacy Builders Podcast. We're building impact that outlives us, and today's episode is really getting into the heart of things, getting into that. But before I share the title, I need you to go subscribe at Jaheim President TV. I need you to go on YouTube. I need you to go follow us on Spotify, share our Apple podcast. Just share. Like us on Instagram, like us on TikTok as we prepare to just do it. And I'm excited about this journey, y'all. We're getting back to Mondays, so now we're back to on Mondays. So every Monday at 6:30, 5:30, whatever, we'll be here with another episode. So today's episode is the thriving while being overlooked. Thriving while being overlooked. And I have a real question for you. Have you ever felt invisible? Like, no matter how hard you work, how consistent you are, people does doesn't seem to notice your work. You're usually the last one to be picked, the one that is underestimated. But here's the twist: being overlooked isn't always a curse. Sometimes it's a hidden blessing. Sometimes it's life way of giving you space to grow, to build, and to prepare. And in this conversation today, we're going to unpack the blessings of being overlooked, the pressure that comes with it, and the strategies to thrive through it. Because overlooked doesn't mean undervalue. Let's go. I really do think there is a blessing with being overlooked. I think in today's society, those who are overlooked, sometimes you will equate it to feeling like you're being weak, like you're being misplaced, like you're being mishandled, like you're being like you're not being valued for who you are. And I'll be honest with you, there have been seasons in my life, and coming out of this last season, in 2025, the first part of the year, and even 2023, is something that I really dealt with all my life. The feeling of being overlooked, the feeling of nobody really seeing your true value, nobody really seeing what really makes you not tick, but what really you can really bring to the table. Because some people will lock you into spaces and they'll lock you into different things and different things because of your family, where it may be your family, where it may be what they want you to, they're expecting you to do. And sometimes overlook can give you space to grow. And you'll hear me that there's a blessing in really being overlooked, because sometimes those who are in front, sometimes those who are in the spotlight, some of them could truly be underdeveloped. And I told myself I would rather get in a place where I am fully developed and may arrive late in some people's term than rather get there early and be pushed away from the spaces and the places that I know that I'm been destined for and I know that I desire. And so some of us, we're in this digital age, and you'll hear me say this, we're in this fast pace. And so we'll think that because of our neighbor, we think because somebody who is our age, somebody who we're doing the same thing, we psychologically start comparing ourselves because it may seem like so and so is getting there faster. It may seem like so and so is getting there, and so I realized that there is grace over being crafted over clout. See, the blessings of really being in overlook or being in the background or where it may be or being not in the forefront right now is you can refine skills when nobody's watching because you can make mistakes and they won't have a greater impact. There have been some seasons in my life, there have been some places and spaces where the mistakes that I made, the wrong connections that I made, the wrong pathways that in life I've taken, they would have been magnified and they would have been taken to a higher level if I've been on if I've been on a certain platform, if I've been where I wanted to be, where I've been where I'm destined to be too early. And some of us, the real mistake is and the real blessing is that our mistakes in this level will not be able to ruin our next. And 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 what you have to learn is that sometimes being unseen is one of your greatest advantage. I love the underdog rule, I really do, because the underdog role, and if you watch college football, the is not that the underdog don't think that they can do it. And truth be told, they don't even refer to themselves at underdog because you know why? If you prepare then and you plan, then you know how to execute. And some of us, the real reason why we may feel like we're overlooked, or we may feel like we're not being overlooked, we may feel like we're not at where we're at, is because some of us, we're trying to go into spaces and places without a plan. Some of us, we're trying to use our good charm. Some of us, we're trying to use this, we're trying to use that. And so when we get to the places that we're destined for, when we get to the spaces that we're destined for, we don't even know how to operate in that space. And God forbid you get to your dream job. And think about that. Every job, whether it be teaching, whether it be this and that, doctors, they all had to go through this season called preparation, this season called process. I was talking to one of my coworkers, her daughter is becoming a nurse or doctor, one of the two. And it was like, and she was like, her daughter's been studying day and night. And I was like, why? Why is she studying so much? And she was like, because you really only get one chance. I was like, what? She said, you really only get one chance to pass the test. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. But then she said, would you want a doctor to work on you if they fail over and over and over? And I was like, no. And so what may seem like delay, what may seem like hardship is really just a process. And the reason why I think this generation has so much of a hard concept of process, a hard concept of not waiting your turn, but really building the build blocks, is because we live in a world where we can get news this fast. We live in a world where we can get this fast. We can get instant text messages, calls. And so what you have to realize is that even the season that you're in is called process. And so when I started looking and putting things in perspectives, I realized that I may not have been overlooked. Maybe I wasn't prepared. And so the with being overlooked, there comes a space and a time where there's pressure. We all go through this thing called pressure. We all go through this thing called frustration. I don't care how perfect you may seem to be, we all go through this thing, and sometimes in our lives called doubt. And we all may be going through, or you may have gone through in some point of our life called burned out. And so the real reason you're frustrated is because sometimes you can be frustrated with your environment. Can I tell you this? And honest to God, I know what it is to be frustrated with your environment. Trust and believe. And I had to realize that I can be frustrated with my environment, but I can't let that environment make me frustrated in my process. I can't let that environment, I can't let those in different environments where it may not push, it may not accelerate my growth, but it still can teach me something. Because can I tell you this, everything in life has a teaching point. Yeah. Everything in life you going through, or everything in life you may be going through, can teach you something. A bad relationships can teach you something. A bad friendship can teach you something. A bad work environment can teach you something. It can teach you what you don't want to be around. It can teach you what you don't want to be, and so that can push you. But in the middle of it, you're frustrated. In the middle of it, you mad. In the middle of it, you are wondering why you're here. And so what frustration will sometimes build is doubt. Okay? Because here it is. Doubt will have you thinking that you're not worthy of it. Doubt will have you thinking that you can't do it. There have been seasons, there have been times okay, here it is, prime example. When I was in high school, I was a sophomore playing varsity football. Started some games, and I remember one game we were playing a rival, and I was just like, "There's no way I can do it. There's no way I can do it." And there was doubt that was talking me out of something I prepared all summer for. I prepared all when we got out from the last season, all fall, winter. And so what doubt will do is it'll have you thinking that you can't accomplish nothing. But then, okay, but here it is. And so from there, you have doubt, and then you have burnout. Because here it is, you feel frustrated, you feel doubtful, and then you stop. Because you've already frustrated about what you have to go through. What you have to go through this process. You already doubtful that you can even make it to the end. And then so now burnout is that third component to tell you, okay, stop. And what we confuse reset and stopping. And I want to tell you, it is okay to reset. It is okay to reset. But and it's okay to stop in certain places where you can't handle, but don't let those two twins, frustration and doubt, make you lead and burn out. Because I think the blessing of being overlooked, the blessing of and the pressure of being overlooked is you build your internal muscles. You build your mental strength. For those who are believers, you build your spiritual strength, and then you improve yourself, how much you can endure, how much you can go through process, how much you can go through this. And what I've learned in this season, in these last 3 years of my life, I have learned how I can endure. My patience, promise you, my patience have grown. My ability not to react of how I used to act has grown. And so even though I may feel frustrated, even though I may feel overlooked, even though I may feel like I'm not getting nowhere, in fact, I am getting somewhere. Because every day you show up, every day you fight that urge to because there's a natural urge in us to just throw in the towel. Because your body, our body craves ease. But sometimes ease is your greatest enemy to destiny and purpose, to building a legacy, to 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 drive and to push yourself into something greater. And so when you start doing these things, you start comparing yourself. How many of us have been robbed of our joy, robbed of our peace, robbed of our ability to love ourselves because we're comparing ourselves to other people? We're comparing ourselves to things that we don't have. People, like, I kid y'all not, everybody I know is having a baby, getting married. And what comparison, if I let comparison, I'll say, well, Jaheim, you behind the 8 ball. Jaheim, you doing this. Jaheim, come on. But in reality, no, I'm not behind the 8 ball. And can I tell you this? You're not behind the 8 ball. Don't let society make you feel like you're behind the 8 ball. Because we'll have, and I saw this meme on Instagram, we'll have people who are 25, 26, 21, 18, thinking that they already need to have life figured out. No. For some people, life comes fast. For some people, life, joy, all that stuff, this different stuff, the marriage, the house, it comes fast for them. And for those people, I'm grateful. That shows me, and this is how you got to reframe it. That shows me that I can get there one day in due time, in the right time, and in the right season. And so overlooked seasons, or what you may feel like overlooked season, can break your confidence. One of the greatest things you have in life is confidence, is being confident about yourself. I admire people who are confident about themselves. I really do. Because it was a trait, and I'm being honest with y'all, it's a trait I didn't have for a long time. But I'm slowly building confidence by myself. I'm slowly building, like, yeah, Jaheim, you are the, okay, you put the blank right there. You are the, yeah. And I had to realize that it was okay to realize that it was okay to brag on myself, not to push people down, but to push me forward. And sometimes when you're so confident and when you're so sure about yourself, you can pull people out of their rut. So even though I may feel overlooked, even though you may feel overlooked, even though you may feel like you're not, be confident that you're going to get there. Be confident in that you're building the skills, that you're learning the skills, that you're doing this to get there. Because can I tell you this? Rejection is just redirection into something better. So when people underestimate you, it is not really your ceiling, but in fact, it's a challenge. When some people say, I couldn't do it, do stuff like da 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 da, I'm like, okay, bet. Because I love to compete. And here it is, healthy competition within myself. Because truth of the matter is, I'm not really trying to beat you. I'm trying to beat who I was yesterday. Now, there was a time that I would try to outdo people, but then I realized that wasn't getting me nowhere. I was just running in circles, because when you competing with other people and trying to keep up with the Joneses, they're moving up a little. When they move up, you feel like you got to move up. But what if you're not ready for that level? So you'll move up prematurely, and then you'll fall down because you wasn't ready. And like I said earlier, I want to be ready for my next. Because when I get in my next, I want to be able to handle it. And I want to be able to sustain success and build off success. Now, I'm not saying when I get to my next, when you get to your next, it's not going to be failure, but there'll be less failure and more growth when you know how to handle the bottom of it. And so when people underestimate you, underestimate you, it is not your ceiling. This season that you're in is not your season, not your ceiling. This, whatever you may be feeling down about yourself, whatever you may be feeling this and that about yourself, you're not going to stay here for long. You're not going to be overlooked for long. There's going to be somebody that's going to need your expertise. There's going to be somebody that needs your this, your that. There's going to be somebody that needs you. And so you have to be willing enough to go through what I call the valley season so that you could reign in the mountain, that you can reign in your mountain season. And so you have to start turning your pressure into your real power and fuel. You have to start turning your pressure into your power, into your fuel. You have to start reframing overlooked seasons as building seasons. I don't even call it overlooked. I don't even call it that. I call it seasons where I'm just building him. But then I have a question. Are you really investing in yourself? Not investing to be next, not investing to do this, but are you really investing in yourself to learn, to inquire, to train yourself, and then create? I think when if more people would stop comparing themselves and investing in themselves, invest into your education. If you want to go get your master's, go get your master's. If you want to go back to college, go back to college. If you want to start the business, invest in the business, create the business plan, and then actually go for it. I think so many times we're focusing on other people and other things. Look, I ain't worried about what you doing. Because it can affect me, yeah. But at the end of the day, I need to know what Jaheim doing, what he doing. And so I've learned to invest in myself. This podcast is investing in myself. Everything you see me do via social media, whatever, building my brand, I'm investing in myself. And what may seem small now will eventually become great. Let me say that again. What seems small now, what may seem little small right now can be infinite and great in the end. And what I've learned is sometimes you have to document your journey. Sometimes you have to document and remind yourself when you're in the lowest of lows of how far you've come. Document, keep it on your notes, pictures, whatever. Sometimes I look at my old pictures and there's a gospel song that said, "Look where he brought me from." Because I'm glad that I'm not who I used to be. And I'm glad that I'm preparing myself for who I am to become. But when I get in the seasons, when I get in this I look, even when I get frustrated about this podcast, I look when I didn't have a mic. I look when I didn't have lights, when I didn't have this MacBook, my iPad, when I was just when I couldn't even upload YouTube videos, when I was just doing straight audio, when my YouTube was just at 20 subscribers. Now we're at 200 and we're growing, views are growing, and I'm learning strategies. I look how far I come, and that tells me I can't stop here. Because when you're passionate about something, you'll document the struggle seasons and you'll remember your seasons when you're celebrating. Don't just document all the good stuff. There have been some failures along the way for me, but I've realized that it's been a blessing more than it's been a curse. More has been a real no. It's been a blessing for me to be here and to be in that space. And get you a circle of supporters. It doesn't have to be great, but if you have somebody, one person, two, whatever, how many it may be, just saying, Jaheim, go push, go forward. This ain't where you gonna be forever. This ain't the final destination. No, we need you to go, Jaheim. I have friends. Jaheim, did you post? Jaheim, did you do this? And when they tell me at the moment, I don't want to hear that. I'm like, man, leave me alone. But I know I need to do it. And you really have to focus on your legacy, not likes. Not everybody's gonna like you. Not everybody's gonna be grateful that you're doing something that you know you're doing. Not everybody's gonna be there. And for me, that was the hardest part because I support everyone. I try to love on everyone. I try to, but I realize everyone is not me. And maybe that's how greatest fall. We're trying to project people. We're trying to make people think and try to make people act like you. No, that ain't it. No, don't focus on that. Focus on what the legacy you build. I realize not everybody's gonna like the way you do it. Not everybody's gonna understand how you do it. And that's okay. Focus on the things you can control and focus on the legacy you are creating. Because excellence is doing ordinary things extraordinarily well, even when nobody's watching. And your legacy is built in silence before it's even celebrated in public. Let me say that again. Your legacy is built in silence before it's even celebrated in public. Let me say that one more time for the people in the back of the room. Your legacy is built in silence before it's celebrated in public. And your overlooked season, your season where nobody understands you, nobody's da 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 da, is often your most productive season. So this week, do something excellent when nobody is watching. Don't post it, don't announce it, just build. Let me say that again. This week, do something excellent. Don't announce it. Even when nobody's watching, just build it. And I'm talking to myself too, because when you invest in the shadows, the results will shine in the spotlight. Because when you invest in the shadows, when you take this quiet season, this season when nobody's applauding you, in this season when nobody know your name, the results will start shining in the spotlight. Promise you they will. So remember, being overlooked doesn't mean you're undervalued. The right people, the right opportunities, and the right seasons is coming. Just stay consistent, keep building, and keep leaving your legacy. Let me say that again. Remember, being overlooked doesn't mean you're undervalued. The right people, the right opportunities, the right season is coming. Stay consistent, keep building, and keep leaving your legacy. God, that's good. Well, family, that's all I got for you today. The thriving while being overlooked. Well, family, I'll be back next Monday for another episode. Make sure you subscribe at Jacking President TV, like us on TikTok, and remember, the best is always yet to come. Love you, family.